Does the thought of a SMPTE timecode feed for your Pyro shows put the fear of God in you? It should, because this is easy to f*** up. My name's Bo. I'm a songwriter and a Pyro. Join me as I use my music to light the world on fire, one new experience at a time. I'm kidding, it's not that bad, but you do need to have a good understanding of the file formatting, composition, your signal chain, and your firing system to implement a SMPTE control feed setup. In this video, I'm going to show you what SMPTE timecode is and how to compose a SMPTE control file that you can use to run your Pyro shows. This altogether is how we get the file out of the computer and into your house audio and firing system. I'm even going to give you my REAPER template so that if you want to create a control track, you only need to open up the template, toss your music file in, and maybe make one quick change to make sure that your audio file's integrity is compatible with this format, and you'll be off to the races. Everything else is set up for you. We go over a lot of this stuff at depth in episode number 74 of the Rhythm Pyro podcast, but considering how complex and nuanced the concepts are behind SMPTE, this tutorial video made a lot of sense. And so let's start with the elephant in the room. What the hell is SMPTE? SMPTE stands for the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. It's an organization that develops technical standards for motion imaging, film, television, and digital media. They developed their timecode standard, which we use in the Pyro and special effects world to synchronize audio, video, lighting, and firing systems. SMPTE timecode is transmitted and received as audio.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
You might not like the way that sounds, but all of the hardware that you want to sync up can't get enough of it. Because SMPTE timecode is audio, you only need an audio output to make it work. This is where things often kind of get confusing because anything that can play audio can theoretically transmit your timecode. Phones, computers, boom boxes, your old Zune. The list is endless and often causes folks that are new to the process to feel like there's endless ways to screw it up. Myself, I've got a laptop that I take with me to all my shows. It has all my scripts on it, my design files, so it makes the most sense for my application just to run the show from the same laptop. Within the computer, I work in REAPER, but you can compose and play your control file in whatever digital audio workstation or DAW you're most comfortable with. Audacity is a popular option in the Pyro world. The concepts are exactly the same, no matter the tool that you choose to use. So you're looking at my finished REAPER SMPTE output control session. This is the same project file that I reuse every single time I shoot a show. I control the entire show from this session. I hit play inside the session and it sends my music output to the house audio system and my SMPTE timecode feed going straight to my firing system, lighting consoles, and whatever else I need to sync up with the feed. Beyond the control benefits to using a DAW for show day playback, I feel like that I can mark up my timeline, make visual notes and indicators for myself, cluing me into key moments along the timeline should I need to skip around in the script. This provides me an easy method to do that. Minus all of the show-specific timeline markers, this is the project session that I'm going to give you in the template so you don't have to rebuild it from scratch each time you want to create a SMPTE control file. Now, while templates are great for saving time, you still need to learn the concepts behind a SMPTE track composition and the output signal chain from your device if you want to be able to recreate and, God forbid, have to troubleshoot any issues on the fly. So here's what a totally new default project session looks like in REAPER. You can create new project sessions by booting REAPER, selecting File, and then hitting New Project. It's also worth noting that as of the making of this video, I'm working in REAPER version 7.27. If you're new to the program, you're probably looking at a window that looks a lot like this one. One of the simplest formats for SMPTE control track is the one that plays two outputs simultaneously using a stereo or independent two-channel output format. You listen to stereo audio every single day of your life, and you might not even realize it. We're going to use the two-channel nature of this stereo audio output to our advantage. The anatomy of a stereo audio file is really simple. Like I mentioned, stereo tracks are comprised of two channels, the left channel and the right channel. So next, I'm going to create two blank tracks in my session. Double-click anywhere in this area to generate the new tracks. Next, I'm going to name the tracks to keep the session organized. We'll name this first track SMPTE right, and the second track music left. I like visual indicators a lot, so I'm going to right-click on top of each track, look for track color, and set tracks to custom color, and pick a couple of colors that stand out to me. I'll make the SMPTE track red and my music track green. Next, I'm going to find my music and SMPTE source files and drag them into REAPER and drop them into the appropriate track within the session. For music, I'm going to use the song that I wrote for Light Up the Lake 2024, Chasing Ghosts. And for my timecode, I'm loading COBRA's pre-baked 90-minute SMPTE MP3 file. That download link's in the description if you need it. REAPER does have the ability to generate its own timecode output internally, and I've used it without issue for shooting shows, but for the sake of keeping things simple, I'm going to use the pre-baked SMPTE file and save the timecode generator for another video. Now that both files exist in the session, I want to make sure that they begin at exactly the same point on the timeline. So I'll grab each track and drag them independently, either to the beginning of my timeline or let them snap to the nearest grid point. It's worth noting that the exact version of my show's audio that I've imported into the session is the same file I designed the show around. Composing this whole control file is one of the last steps that I do prior to dry runs. I want to make sure that when I create the control file, I have the right music loaded, and the best way to do that is to save this step for later in the prep process. Now, I know that shit happens and that there's always instances where you might need to do a script re-edit or a music edit and reload late in the game. And if that's the case, your success is all going to hinge on your personal file organization skills and your naming schemes to do it effectively. So be careful. The show audio file I'm dragging into my session is also the same file that would go into any auxiliary audio boxes that existed in my COBRA's network of gear. I've had a slew of different show applications where I've utilized more than one audio source on show day. My annual show at the lake, for example, the house audio originates from two physically separate locations. The first at our control table and the second across the lake. I run the control PA audio feed directly from my audio interface. That's playing back the audio file that you see here in REAPER. While across the lake, I've got an audio box that contains the same audio file. Once you've got both of your audio source files imported into your project session, it's time to evaluate your next step. Both audio files occupy their own independent tracks in the session. The SMPTE timecode shows up on its track as one gigantic sausage waveform. This is because the source audio file only contains one channel of audio. It's a mono file. Chasing Ghosts, on the other hand, is a stereo audio file, which means it has left and right information in the native audio file. We don't want that for this setup. We're going to use panning to achieve the separation that we need between the final music and the final timecode track, but if I pan Chasing Ghosts as is, we'll only be outputting the audio information from the source file's native stereo field. Now, if you rendered or you're working with a file that's already mono to begin with, you can skip this step completely. What we're doing is only necessary if you're trying to get your stereo audio file into a mono format. So I'm going to click my waveform to select the audio file. Right-click and click Item Properties. This next pop-up window will give you all kinds of information about your source audio file. In this case, I'm going to use it to change its channel output mode on the fly without doing any re-rendering. I'll look for the Take properties in the subsection of the window, and I'll look for Channel Mode option. I'm going to change the current channel mode from normal to mono mix left plus right. Then I'm going to hit Apply and then OK. You'll know you did this right if you're now seeing one waveform in your music file versus the two that existed previously. Under the hood, this process is mixing the source file's left and right channel from your original stereo and outputting them in mono. Now we're working with 2 single-channel mono audio tracks for both music and timecode. Next, we'll set the track panning rules so our timecode is outputting hard right and our music is outputting hard left. By default, Reaper's mixer window, this little guy down here, hangs out at the bottom of your screen. If you don't see it, you can find it by clicking View and Mixer or by using the Control+M hotkey. Any tracks that you have in your timeline are also reflected down here in the mixer. In the mixer, you'll find basic routing and mixing controls. The pan knob hangs out at the top of each track's control, just above the volume fader. When you hover over it, you'll know you're in the right place as it'll tell you the current pan state of that track. In this case, both tracks are set to a pan value of center, which means they're both being output on both the left and right channels. Since we want each track to output independently on the left and right channels, we're gonna change the panning to reflect which channel we'd like them to output on. We decided from the get-go that we wanted SMPTE to output on the right channel while our music track outputs on the left channel. So I'm gonna mouse over my SMPTE pan control, click and drag it up until I see the pan value of 100% right. I'm gonna do the same thing with chasing ghosts, only I'm dragging it down to pan it 100% to the left. It's extremely important when you're using pan controls to manipulate stereo output to verify that you have 100% pan value set on each of your tracks. If you don't, you're going to experience audio bleed, which is where some of the audio from one track is outputting on the channel you don't want it to. This could be disastrous for your show. You don't want timecode audible in your house music feed. That's annoying, but you certainly don't want music playing in your timecode feed and confusing your firing system. The wheels can fall off of the wagon quickly. If you're panned 100% left and 100% right, then you are good to go using this traditional 2-output architecture. This sets you up for success at the source, in this case, your computer. And everything from this point forward is a matter of nailing your signal chain integrity. Now, every computer and audio card or interface that you might be using to output your final stereo file is different. I have no way of telling what hardware you're going to use to actually carry your signal from the computer to all of your gear, but I can help you set Reaper to utilize your output. Head up to Options, click on Preferences, and in the scroll window off to the left, find the Device menu under the Audio section. Select your audio hardware outputs accordingly. I've got the template configured to utilize Windows Wave Out, but you can fish around in the audio system dropdown and the output device dropdowns to configure to your particular machine or your particular interface. Beyond setting up a Reaper to output using your specific hardware, everything's now a matter of setting appropriate output gain levels, using your proper cabling, adapters, etc. to carry your signal. If you download my template and you get stuck or you have any general Reaper questions, I'm happy to help. Either drop them in the comments below or better yet, go join us over on the Rhythm Pyro Discord and I'll get you straightened out. I hope this helps. Getting hands-on and having a go at things tends to clear up a lot of the convoluted stuff. So get in there and play and go check out the podcast and I'll see you over on the Discord.